the arts.
This is WMNF Tampa.
Hey there, it's Wade. If you have an extra car but no time to sell it, you could just donate it to support WMNF. Learn more at WMNF.org or call 888-WMNF-885.
In 3 or 4 seconds, we'll proceed with the Sustainable Living Show. But first, on behalf of everyone here at WMNF, I would like to say happy birthday to Annie Ellis and to wish her all the best in her future years. I won't sing, but we all applaud her. And now for the Sustainable Living Show.
Hello. Here comes the sun, I say it's all right. Hello, and welcome to the Sustainable Living Show here on Memorial Day. WMNF Tampa 88.5, where every Monday at 11, we bring you a conversation with local experts on sustainable issues. Today's guest is Ashley Stokes, an award-winning documentary filmmaker, talking about questions about our planet's future and her new film, Good Natured. Stay with us while we explore ways to consider this subject, because there's a lot to consider, as y'all know. Irene is taking your calls today, and Mr. Bill Grace, our lovely Mr. Bill Grace, is working the boards. And I'm Annie Ellis, and I'm your host today. And I am so grateful to Bill for thanking me to be here and wishing me a happy birthday. I am 72 today. I cannot believe it for 1 second, but it's true. And so that's the deal. Yahoo! Happy birthday to me. And before, though, I want to introduce our guests. We have news from the garden with Kitty Wallace. I think I heard her chuckling in the background. Kitty, you there?
Yes, for sure. Happy birthday, Annie. Well, I also want to shout out to Pam Lund and her team at the Dancing Goat Farm for being honored with the Salt and Pepper Award for Business and Entrepreneur Excellence. Woo, woo!
Yay!
To the Dancing Goat Farm. You've got to put that on your list, too. This Saturday, there's going to be a summer veggie class sponsored by Peas and Love Gardening, Desiree Sims, and Beat Kombucha at the 3100 Fremont Terrace South, St. Petersburg address for an informative class on learning what to grow during the summer in Central Florida. Meacham Urban Farm is a regenerative farm growing organic veggies in downtown Tampa at 1108 East Scott Street. Their farm store hours have continued all summer long, Friday 2 to 6, Saturday 8 to 2, and Sunday 8 to 2, Monday 2 to 6. So that's a great resource for people who live in downtown Tampa. Another fun thing is Pops in the Park. I love this. I try to go every year at the River Tower Park in Sulphur Springs. It'll be this Saturday at 7:30. Bring a blanket and a picnic and send off the season with a free musical party in the park featuring family-friendly music, film scores, classic favorites, and so forth. They'll have food trucks and munchies and things for, those that get munchy when they go to the movies and the concert.
And thirsty, too, probably.
Absolutely. Lastly, I'm really excited about this. This spring, 10 amazing PTA, PTSAs across Hillsborough County received $500 grants to jumpstart or grow their school's sustainability efforts. And the results were inspiring. They started vegetable gardens and pollinator gardens. They hosted Earth Day cleanups and hands-on learning projects and transformed their school campuses into vibrant green spaces. So
wow.
Talk about Hillsborough County Public Schools. They went all green this year with these awards to the 10 schools. So great.
That
great
is
news.
Exciting, Kitty.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
seriously, they took that and ran with it, and that many schools are doing that. That is innovative.
Yes, all at once. And so it's bound to have a ripple effect. I'm very excited about that.
Yes,
So, yay.
yes. Because once they do it, they'll go, well, they did it. We can do it.
That's exactly right.
That's
Yeah.
the way it is with everything. I always think that way. Well, if you did it, maybe I could do it too.
That's right. That's right. Well, have a
That's
great
so great.
morning, Annie. I'm looking forward to your show. And hi to Irene
Oh,
still. All right.
Thank
Take care.
you. Thank you so much. We're going to find out where to go see this show because it's already been somewhere. We're going to talk all about it. I'm excited to
Okay.
talk to Ashley. Yes.
All right.
Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much for calling in, Kitty. All right. And Miss Ashley. So I wanted to let y'all know a little bit about Ashley Stokes before we get into it. She is an award-winning documentary filmmaker, and she is unwaveringly committed to amplifying voices and encouraging a fresh perspective. And I really love this because this can really get you down. Our state of how our planet is right now. Her dedication to elevating the collective consciousness, advocating for environmental preservation, and weaving intimate narratives takes her passion for storytelling to extraordinary heights. And Ashley also leverages her multifaceted skill set, not only to inspire, but also to educate. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that too, and how she got to that place. And she's offering all you guys new and profound perspectives on the intricacies of our complex and beautiful existence, because it's deep. Now, this is about her film. She just recently created Good Natured, which is a great name, by the way, a documentary, and it follows her personal journey as she grapples with questions about our planet's future. In this documentary, she encounters a lot of people dedicated to environmental conservation and innovation. And it also serves as a reminder that we all share one life on the same earth. We are all in this together. Whether you think you are or not, we are. So welcome to the show, Ashley. I am so tickled to see you. And I'm also, thrilled about this documentary that you made. You're quite the filmmaker.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me, and happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I didn't mean to make it all out there, but
No, it's okay.
I love birthdays. People most of the time they just say, oh, don't want to tell anybody or whatever. And I'm like, I tell people a month in advance. I don't care. I think it's great. It's your day, right?
Yeah.
So whatever. So I wanted to ask you, though, first off, the biggest part is, what inspired you to create this documentary? I know that you're a filmmaker and you went to school for filmmaking and this sort of thing, but where did you get to this point?
Yeah, so I was feeling really overwhelmed with anxiety and grief around, one, how people were treating our planet as well as our changing climate. And I wanted to have conversations with people about this and see how people are starting and trying to create a more sustainable planet. And so it just gave me the opportunity to really take my, it wasn't originally supposed to be me in it. I'm usually behind the camera. So this is a little different for me. But it gave me the opportunity to, one, share my personal experiences, emotions, and connect with other people who are experiencing this as well, and see how we can use that as fuel to take action.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea on every level. I mean, it's like we all can't think of the same thing at the same time, and more than one brain working together. I always say you and I make a complete brain. You know what I mean? Like, and it's the truth. I mean, people just, if they keep working back and forth, it'll ignite something and then you'll come up with an idea. Mm-hmm. So I noted that on February the 19th, that your show or your film, it premiered at the historic Tampa Theater. What a beautiful place to have it. Oh. That is so cool. Mm-hmm. And so I also noted that the members of the Coral Restoration Foundation team traveled to Tampa to support the premiere and celebrate the documentary. What was the response to this?
Yeah, it was From then to now, I've been getting incredible feedback from everybody.
Good.
I think a lot of people related to the documentary and in different facets, but overall, most people are experiencing these feelings. And so many people have expressed how much they want to share it with more people, and especially with children, because I think obviously this is a multi-generational issue that we're tackling. But I think younger people, in particular, in my age and younger, are experiencing this and feeling the overwhelm specifically. And so when children at least are able to have the conversation from a younger, earlier age, then it grows the potential for that to, grow into how they can take action later on. And almost everyone who was part of the film actually came to see it at the Tampa Theater that night, which was such a joy because we got to connect, and everybody who hadn't met each other prior during the filming process got to talk about like, hey, how can we collaborate? And just like you mentioned earlier, when you're connecting with each other and you have different ways that you're already taking action, how can I put this together with what you're doing and move forward and do something even bigger?
That's really great. That's one of the questions I want to ask you in just a second about collaboration and how to find people. But there is something that is kind of got to me yesterday, and so I want to mention it. I was listening. It was a PBS thing, and it was about how, as we know, the coral is bleaching out, right? And it's bleaching out so fast, it's unbelievable it can be, because the water is 70 degrees, it can be in a matter of hours that it bleaches, which is blown my mind. I had no idea it was that, terrible situation. But okay, let's bring the good thing in, right? They are growing corals on the Big Island of Hawaii, and they are saying that it's possible to regrow, but we got to get the fossil fuels under control, and also the sunscreens, that they have something in it that's killing them. So that's important that we even consider. I don't think a lot of people even consider that as something. But I wanted to loop that back around to the people that showed up at your premiere, and it was the Coral Restoration Foundation team. Can you talk a little bit about that and give us some hope somehow?
Yeah, absolutely. So they were included in the film, and they're doing work down in the Florida Keys. And so basically what they're trying to do is to help the corals adapt to the changing environment. And obviously, like you brought up, one of those things is the temperature heating in the oceans. And actually down in the Keys, I think it's heating up all the way up to the 90 degrees, which is really crazy. And so what they have done, and normally in the past, they've solely had nurseries in the water so they can, monitor from there. And it's basically like these trees, and they like connect all of the pieces of coral from there. But because of the bleaching event, they decided to partner with the Keys Marine Laboratory, and they brought the corals on land into facilities in these tanks so they can monitor and control those different aspects. And so eventually they're hoping to be able to outplant them back to the reef. And so that changes based on the time of year. So obviously in the summertime, the water is getting a lot hotter. And so when it gets cool enough, they'll take them back into the ocean. But that was, a couple of years ago when we filmed with them, and things have drastically changed since then as far as like how long the water is staying hot. But they're doing the best that they can in propagating these corals so there's more species, and trying to understand like how they can adapt in different ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a trick, that they even have to think about it, but at least somebody is thinking about it. And that's what the special was on PBS, about how they're growing them, and that, there's hope for the youth, like you were talking about. Let me let everybody know how to get in touch with us, because if I was listening, I'd want to call in and talk to you. So you're listening to the Sustainable Living Show, broadcasting live from WMNF Tampa 88.5. Our guest today is Ashley Stokes, an award-winning documentary filmmaker, talking about questions about our planet's future and her new film, Good Natured. If you have a question or a comment, please give us a call at 813-239-9663. You can text us at 813-433-0885, or you can send us an email to dj@wmnf.org, and I will read it on the air. Okay, so you were talking about how the youth, that's what I wanted to get back to, that the youth were really relating to the younger people, which makes sense because, you guys are all in this together as far as what the future is going to be. So is that how that was working?
Yeah, so I mean, I had people talking from all generations, but I think from a younger perspective, yes, people connect to someone that's like a younger host in the film itself. And I did get to talk to a lot of kids along the way who were both in the film as well as seen it afterwards. And one of them actually we had another screening in Fort Lauderdale, and like just a couple weeks ago. Oh. And they were teenagers. And one of the things that they said is like, I'm so excited. I'm going to share this with all of my friends. And it was something that, they're already aware of the changing climate. But I think a lot of times people in the past have watched documentaries or other kinds of news sources that it's a lot of doom and gloom.
Yes.
A lot of like, there's, you're aware of the issues that are there, but that's why I wanted to create something different, because I think when you have that, it doesn't even necessarily have to be hope, but obviously hope is a big part of it. I think it's, you can see that there's a potential possibility for a future that is better for all of us, not just for humanity, but for all of life on this planet. And I think when someone sees that, especially youth, then they're like, okay, it's not just gonna like, take over that I can't do anything about it, So, yeah.
Yeah, what you just said is that, it can be such an all-encompassing anxiety and grief. Those are the words that you used earlier about how, this is going, and you just want to retreat and not even think about it, But if you put it in a place of the possibility of different ways of viewing, and then being able to take actions, it definitely brings it forward. So when you were doing this, like, you were thinking about like taking action, how it looks different to everybody, and what diverse approaches are people taking to create a more sustainable future?
Yeah, so there's a wide spectrum of people doing different things. So in the film specifically, like you mentioned, we talked to the Coral Restoration Foundation, which I talked a little bit about what they're doing. I also spoke to a microbiologist. Her name is Dr. Erica Diaz-Almeida. She's actually based in California, and she's a professor of biology. And she's specifically looking at how we can look at the microbes and how you can see the change in the environment easier from the micro level before you will see it on the macro level. And yeah, we talk about in the film, is really interesting. We also talked to the Seminole Tribe of Florida, who has a climate team, and they are working on ways to collaborate with their tribe to be able to, one, get education to the tribe, as well as implementing different things that will help people on the reservations as well as the communities around them. I also talked to Tigrila Gardenia. She is a nature-inspired mentor and coach, and she really taps into the wisdom of plants and how, plants are incredibly intelligent, knowledgeable beings. And we can learn a lot from plants and how they approach life, which is a lot different than how humans do. I also spoke with Hilary Van Dyke, who is a part of Get Black Outside, which is a national organization that is working towards getting people of color out recreating outside. And her big thing is, when you get people outside and connected to the earth, they're more likely to, when they're recreating outside, they're more likely to connect with the earth and the natural environment. And then it can lead into conservation efforts as well. And then I also spoke with Rosebud Continuum, which is a organization based in Land O'Lakes, Florida. And they are doing some really awesome, innovative things. They're in partnership with USF Patel College of Sustainability. And one of the people who works there is Dr. Thomas Culhane. And he also
had him on.
Oh, awesome. So
yeah, he's
awesome.
Yes.
And they're doing a lot of different innovative things to be able to, take waste, what we, the average person would consider waste, and recycle it in different ways. And in the film, we talk about a few of those different ways.
Yeah, he's making pavers and different odds and ends like that, aren't they?
Yeah, so they actually break down plastic into microplastics, which seems like counterintuitive, right?
Right.
But they're actually using it, and they can use it as a conduit in cement. So usually you can use sand in there as well, which they're breaking down glass as well to make into sand. And so it's putting it into cement blocks, or they've made sculptures. It's basically, they're just trying to find different ways, because plastic's here,
Right.
Obviously we want to reduce the amount of plastic that we're intaking into our homes and using on a daily basis, but they're at least from the plastic that we currently have on the planet to put it into ways that are more sustainable.
Yeah. It's interesting because it just opens up a different way of thinking. I mean, of course, we want to reduce use. I mean, that is number one on the R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, so on. But it's, it's there. Like you said, it is there. And so if somebody's going to do something with it, that's certainly better, reuse it. That's for sure. You're listening to the Sustainable Living Show, broadcasting live from WMNF Tampa 88.5. Our guest today is Ashley Stokes. She is an award-winning documentary filmmaker, and we are talking about our planet's future and also her new film, Good Natured. If you have a question or a comment, please give us a call at 813-239-9663. Text me at 813-433-0885, or send an email to dj@wmnf.org, and I will read it on the air. So I was wondering, too, about when you go through all this, what are some of your approaches that you noted when you were making the film? I mean, could be from what you, and then how it connected to how other people responded to that.
I guess, well, first off, I want to say anyone who wants to watch the film, you can go to wedu.org/goodnatured. And you can watch the film there, as well as see any resources from the people that were involved in the film, to see how you can also be a part, help volunteer for those organizations or be a part of them in some way.
Those were my questions in the future.
Okay, sorry. I just want to put that out there.
But that's great. So you guys get out there and watch it on wedu.org.
So as far as approaches, I think one big thing is, no matter what, is connecting to the people around you.
Yes.
That was something that was really big for me. Is I feel like as I was getting to talk to all these different people, it was sort of building a community of resources and these intimate conversations. And I think that at its core, that's kind of how I wanted to approach it. I love to do things from my heart space. And I like to really, it sounds cliche.
I love this
from
part.
The aspect of love. And I think that because I have such a deep love for the planet is why I was experiencing the anxiety and grief in the first place. But because I was approaching it from a place of love, it also allowed the other people who are doing these amazing things for the planet and for each other to, want to open up about how they're feeling about things. And I think, and like, anybody can do this. Anybody can, approach all your friends, your family, even strangers about this topic, or just anything in general from your heart space. And I think it opens up things to have, like, build more community, which is what we need, I think, now more than ever, other than, a lot of times we feel like we're pitted against each other, but in reality, we live on the same planet, like you said earlier. And when we work together, we're more likely to be able to create a better, more sustainable future.
Yeah, well, of course, right? We do better together than we do alone. That's for sure. So you're talking about you're building this community. I love the way that sounds, but are there communities that are built that people can reach out to be able to connect to them?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a few different, it depends on where you live. But I would say, I definitely think Rosebud Continuum, they have a huge volunteer program and they've really built a community of people around them. You can check them out if you just Google Rosebud Continuum. They have a website online. Another great one that I love to suggest to people is Tigrila Gardenia, who I mentioned is.
Can you spell that, please?
Yeah, her name is Tigrila. That's Tigria. Oh, wait, sorry. LLA. Tigrila. No I.
That's the way I spelled it when you said it.
No I at the end. And then Gardenia. That's Gardenia.
What a great name.
And she created this Reconnect. So she has a podcast one that's called Reconnect to the Plant Wisdom. But she also has this Naturally Conscious Community is what she calls it. And it's this app, and you can also access it online, and has built a whole community there to have these kinds of conversations. So there's the aspect of, a talk, so you can just talk to people. There's also a book club that she's created that's based around, plant wisdom and different kinds of topics, like around sustainability. And then there's different videos that you can watch on there to connect to plants as well. And just, it really overall has really built a great community. And they also have conversations monthly and weekly to talk about these things. And I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a lot of, there's social media and stuff out there where you can connect with people, which can be great in some aspects, but this is specific to those kinds of topics. Mm-hmm. And I think it poses a lot of questions that people don't always feel comfortable doing on social media.
Well, and the other part is it poses the questions. It might be something inside you don't even know how to form it yet,
Yes.
We do have a caller. Maria is on the air. Hi, Maria. You're live on the Sustainable Living Show.
Hi, Annie. Happy birthday. I can't promise I won't sing happy birthday to you like the guest, but it's so great to be here. And Ashley, I so much appreciate you coming on to talk about the film. I was fortunate to see it in the Tampa Theater.
Yay!
Yay! And so much of what you just said about resonating with love and really connected with me. And I just want to say I grew up in West Palm Beach in the 60s and 70s, and I was born with a deep connection to the earth. And so I remember feeling grief for the earth at a very young age. Particularly, bald eagles were almost extinct then. And I wept when I saw a bald eagle for the first time in the wild. It gave me hope. My question for you is, can you talk a lot about what were your earliest childhood experiences of feeling this connection to the earth? And how can we nourish that in young people now? Thank you.
Maria, thank you so much for calling in. She said she'd seen the film, and I asked her to call, and she did it. Yay, you! Go ahead, Ashley.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for coming to see it at the Tampa Theater and calling today. Yeah, so I talk a little bit about this in the film, but I grew up loving nature as well. I spent a lot of time outside, especially with my sister. And I just really remember, you have that childlike wonder and curiosity that I just loved observing, all the plants and the animals around us, just even in our backyard and going on hikes. And I think, something that really fostered my love was I was part of Girl Scouts, and we used to do camping trips and stuff and do hikes. And I actually talked about, there's like a short memory I shared in the film of we had hiked up this mountain, like a smaller mountain in Pennsylvania. And I was so excited. It was a hill, basically. And I was so excited because it just felt like such an achievement. And to be able to see the vast, environment around us. And I got to, I was so excited about it that I called my mom at the top because I used one of my Girl Scout leaders' phones to call her. I was like, Mom, I made it to the top of this mountain. And that seems like such a simple joy as a kid, but I really think that those kinds of experiences really fostered my connection. And I think a lot of times kids these days, not all of them, but a lot of them, there's so much technology around. It's easy to get swooped up in that and the video games and on your cell phone. And that's not to say that they're a bad thing. It's just part of like more of what kids are growing up with now. And so I always encourage people, take your kids outside, let them learn, let them be curious about the environment. So, yeah.
Let them get dirty.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? I mean, dig in the dirt, that what are they, I know that kids get less problems like asthma and different odds and ends. Their immune system gets up real high if they're out there with animals and dirt, and, all these different odds and ends. I wanted to touch too, because you just said something about the plants. Well, somebody, actually Kitty wrote, spell the lady that does the plant wisdom again, reconnect to plant wisdom. And it's spelled TIGRILLA Gardenia, Gardenia. So that's Tigrilla Gardenia. So I'm going to check this out after the show. Not kidding. And it's about reconnect to plant wisdom. And also then you were talking about how people are reconnecting to each other, which is just amazing. There was another thing that you said too about the Get Black Outside. And I wanted to also mention that Kitty has been involved with a lot of people of color in her gardening, the community gardens. So that's another way, right, Ashley?
Definitely, yeah. Wherever you can find a community garden, I would highly recommend it. I think it's a great way, not only obviously to be able to plant some of your own plants and grow some of your own food, but also usually you're able to connect with some people. Oh.
Yeah, I think it's true. Though you find your tribe there, and you get to know what's going on with you and them. And it just, again, it fosters more conversation. It teaches you about the organics. And then also you said something about the plants too, and how they interact with each other and how intelligent they are. And I just wanted to throw in there, and the fungi is very intelligent as well. And that would get into the microbes and the macro level. So, I mean, all of the things you're talking about, it's just really, it's exciting because it makes you remember to think on that level, right? Instead of this scary stuff. So what else can you think of that would make people join together? I mean, how would they do that? Do you have a list of that on some sort of a website for yourself, or what? How would they do that?
So I think part of it is, like I said earlier, if you go to wedu.org/goodnatured, there's resources on the site. There's like a sublink there, and you click on it and you can see everybody who's in the film. And yeah, so it's great because you can like build community from there. You can reach out to the individual people, or you can become a part of their community that's already built. And I'd also suggest there's so many, I live in St. Petersburg, And there's so many events going on all the time that are related to these topics. So for instance, I just went to, back in April, an Earth Day event, and I got to connect to a lot of different organizations there and people who, it was a great conversation because it's connecting those people who are already having those conversations.
Right.
And that's happening all over the Tampa Bay area. So a lot of times I look, on Facebook to find different events that are going on. WEDU also, has some events that we do as well. And I think that's a great way to connect people. I don't have it necessarily like a list written down, but it's kind of like go as I find it.
You do have a list because you have it written on individuals that were in the movie.
Well, that part of it, yes.
Yeah, and all those people are really of the list. That's really what I meant when you were telling me it's all in there. Well, that's great. And then, of course, when you connect to that person, they're going to give you 5 more.
Definitely.
Right? That's the thing. It's like it's going to continue to grow out like that. So, you had talked about something that you studied in college about eco psychology, and you had courses that you learned from that, and I had never heard about it. So I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah. So ecopsych, I'll just give like a brief definition before I go into it.
Sure.
It's a field of mental health science that studies the interconnectedness between the human mind and psyche and nature. It first arose around in the 1960s, but it gained more momentum with the publication of Theodore Roszak's book, The Voice of the Earth, an exploration of ecopsychology, and that was published in 1992. And I actually so I went to film school, but I also minored in psychology. And one of the classes that was available was about ecopsychology. And we really had these conversations about like where the future of the planet is, how that connects to humanity, and how we're basically we're all connected. And I was so fascinated by it that I decided to make my feature film documentary, not a feature, my thesis film.
Okay. I was wondering, if that's what it was like your end piece, right?
Yeah, it was my thesis film. And it was with my professor at the time. His name is Benjamin Bishop. And it talks a lot about how he was integrating nature into inpatient and outpatient facilities. And so one of them was he worked in a mental health, like a psychiatric hospital in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And he just did a very simple study, and it was taking photos of nature and then putting them up on the walls and seeing how the people there were reacting to it. And just as simple as having a photo of nature up on the wall drastically helped improve the people that were staying there. And so that's just one example of yes, I recommend going outside, but even having a photo on your wall can help you feel better with being inside. And he also did that with outpatient clients as well. And they integrated it more. They had a community garden, and they talked about how much that helped them feel reconnected to the earth. And it did actually build really a community amongst them because they were working together to build something really beautiful. And it was just like a small plot of land, but it brought them so much joy. And I got to interview a few of them for the film. And from there, I was like, oh, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do documentaries. I want to really show how we can reconnect to the planet. And it's just really fascinating to me.
It fired you up.
It did. It fired me up.
That's great. That's great. You're listening to Sustainable Living Show, broadcasting live from WMNF Tampa 88.5. Our guest today is Ashley Stokes, an award-winning documentary filmmaker, talking about our planet's future and her new film, Good Natured. If you have a question or a comment, give us a call at 813-239-9663. Text us at 813-433-0885, or send us an email to dj@wmnf.org, and I will read it on the air. And you guys better get on it because we only have 15 minutes left. Well, really less than that, 10 minutes probably. So I just wanted to go on about what you were talking about. I just want to get that in because that'll probably be my last one. But I wanted to talk about how mentally and emotionally it affects people just from the photo and just to go outside. Even the colors of a room, I know, make you feel a certain way. And how that is taught in a class to you in your eco psychology. Is that what happened?
So the class was specifically looking at how humanity is connected to the earth. So the film touched on like putting photos into, psychiatric hospitals and doing studies on that and stuff. But we did discuss that of like different aspects of things that can help people. And like one of the books that we read was called The Last Child in the Woods. And it's basically like this author was writing about how kind of what I mentioned earlier of how children are spending less time outside and like I think he talks about nature deficit disorder and how people are spending less time outside and that being part of declining mental health. And so we really talked a lot about that because, a lot of Western medicine, especially looking at mental health, they don't always integrate nature into their healing practices. And I think Eastern medicine and indigenous wisdom will always tell you that, like they're really deeply connected to the earth, their ancestry is, and that just spending time outside can help you, it reduces your cortisol levels, which Tigrila talks about in the film. It helps you, you're breathing in what the plants are breathing out, and it just helps you be a more alive human. So, yeah.
Yeah, we have an email, and it's lovely. I hope I can find a way to watch this documentary. And we said how to do it is
wedu.org/goodnatured.
There it is, wedu.org/goodnatured. And it is awesome. I watched it. It was fantastic. I'm going to watch it again after this. And she says, or they say, it goes on, I watched Kiss the Ground and Common Ground about regenerative farming. And that was pretty helpful, although I'm sure that companies like Monsanto will fight against it. I have been encouraging people to watch these films, but I would love to learn if the idea applies to our own yards. In fact, I was wondering if you have done a show about regenerative practices, and that is from Ellen Briggs in Gulfport. Thank you, Ellen, for writing in. And Ashley, what do you say to that?
Yes, you can definitely change what you plant in your personal yards, and that absolutely affects our local environments. I personally, we have a lot of pots outside because I rent from a place, so I'm a little bit limited. But I definitely, the microbiologist talks very briefly about this in the film. And she talks about how the microbes in your yard, like when you create a sustainable yard, it helps the environment around it. So, when you're planting, for instance, pollinators, you're more likely to have butterflies and bees around that are helping, other plants in your neighborhood, helping to grow more food. And, so I definitely think that it can help in a lot of ways. I'm not as versed in regenerative agriculture. I know a little bit about it, but I haven't done any shows or films on that yet.
Your next one. Yet.
That's why I say yet, because I would love to. I think that's a huge topic right now. Yeah. Because currently we're doing a lot of monoculture farming. Yes. Which is not great for the planet. And
the bees. They bring those bees up there to pollinate them, and they bring them up in big trucks, and a lot of them die. It's a bad situation.
Yeah. So I do think more people are becoming aware of regenerative agriculture, and it definitely needs to be more wide scale for it to be more effective, I think.
Yeah, and what you're just talking about too. I mean, individuals can make a difference. People don't think that they can. But each person, if we all did this, we would be in good shape, you know, reducing our plastic, reusing what we have, planting a garden, an organic garden. I just want to add to that because we don't want to add more chemicals, you know, to the system. And then you were talking about insects and that sort of stuff. Well, that feeds the birds, and the smaller birds feed the bigger birds. And, you know, it's the connective piece of it all that goes together. Because if you start treating it, everybody's going to get the poison, you know. And I'd love to see that next movie. We got to do that film. That's got to come up next. That's for sure. So, you know, how do we start to look with new eyes and different solutions? And how do we start to listen differently? Do you have some thoughts on that, Ashley?
Yeah. So I would love to, on this point, bring up Joanna Macy.
Okay.
I think that this is a really good thing to include. And for those of you who don't know her, she's an environmental activist, scholar, author, and has workshops called The Work That Reconnects that focuses on despair and empowerment work, as well as deep ecology. And there's just a quote from one of her books, and it's from her book, World as Lover, World as Self. And she says, "When we face the darkness and terror of our time, openly and together, we tap deep reserves of strength. The gateway of despair opens to belonging. We think despair condemns us to isolation because it seems so taboo in our culture. But as we find again and again, what despair reveals is the depth of our caring. We hurt because we care. We are liberated when we realize that at the heart of our despair is our love for the world, our love of life itself."
My heart is full from listening. I got chill bumps, just rolls of it when you were talking about that. Now, tell us about her.
Yeah, so Joanna Macy is incredible. She actually informed a lot of what I did for the film. So she's written a lot of different books. Like I said earlier, she does work called The Work That Reconnects, which is also something that people can look into to help build community and do those workshops. And I bring this up because she really helps look at it in a different perspective, as far as you can feel overwhelmed, have this anxiety, this grief, whatever emotions you're having around our changing climate and how humanity is treating the planet, and use, like, when you recognize and feel those feelings, not just like dismiss it, not repress it, but really feel the feelings, you realize that you can use those feelings as fuel to move forward. And it's not easy to do.
Yeah, but
it's worth it, because I think that not only does it help move the planet, but also helps move any tension that you're experiencing in your body. And a lot of times the overwhelm is how do I explain this in a way that feels, the overwhelm keeps you from taking action in the first place. And then that's what puts you in the despair, like a continuation of that despair.
Right.
But she puts it in a way of like, you're feeling these feelings because you love the planet so much, like I said earlier, and you love humanity and you want what is best for everybody. And that, I think, is the key point to all of this, is recognizing that love really can change the world. And I truly believe that.
That's so sweet. You know, what you just said to me and how I heard that was that it puts it in perspective. Mm-hmm. And that all the things that you could perceive as being negative is just another idea on how you can move forward with it. And all of these people, places, and things that you've mentioned through this have just been, I think, incredible. And I hope that people listen and get an idea of how they can do this, because you just spelled it out.
Mm-hmm.
You did, Ashley. I'm so grateful to you.
Thank you so much for letting me share this. I'm endlessly grateful to be able to be on this and to talk to so many people about this.
Yeah. And, then what'll happen is that person will talk to another person, and that person will talk to another person. I didn't know that Maria had seen the film because, I just didn't know. And then she told me, and I was like, oh, wow. So this is good. People I actually know have starting to be in this, and they're very involved in one of the community gardens, actually, in Tampa. Is it Tampa Heights? No, it might be Tampa Heights. It's one of the Tampa ones, anyway. So is there anything else that we may have left out, or anything that you feel like we have a few minutes? So, you have a few minutes to talk about it.
I would just really say, and I want to reiterate this because I think it's really important, is to spend more time outside, because it gives you the opportunity to listen to the earth. And I think the earth has a lot of wisdom to share if we just take the time to just be in it. I always say we're human beings. They call us human beings, but a lot of time we're just doing.
Right, human doing.
Yeah, we're constantly going and going, and it I think that oftentimes feels like it separates us from other people and the planet as a whole. But when you take the time to just really be with the earth and the plants and the people around you in a more meditative state, or even just sitting and witnessing, it gives you the opportunity to really listen to, and it may not be a conversation the way that humanity has it, but plants speak in different ways, in different languages, and
it's a feel.
Feeling, yeah. And I think that when we take the time to do that, it helps us really not only regulate our nervous systems, but be able to approach the rest of our day and how we go about things in a different way.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I was thinking also is that, it gives us more compassion if you get outside and you are more in tune to the animals, the insects, the soils, the everything that you would want to protect. You would want to improve it if you're a part of it. I just got a text that I want to read you. It kind of chokes me up a little bit, Ashley. It's from Maria, who called earlier. She says, if you get to tell Ashley this, please tell her that the film landed for me as a love letter to natural Florida.
That's really sweet. Thank you for sharing that.
The truth, though. I mean, it really is. There was something that you wrote, and I don't know where it came from, but I really love it. Maybe you could tell us the quote. It was, "The wisdom of the earth teaching us lessons for a better future." Where did that come from?
A combination of people. I think a lot of it really came from talking with Tigrilla Gardenia. But really with my own personal experience, like we talked about, every time I spend some time outside, and especially being able to explore all the beauty of nature anywhere, but really here in Florida specifically, I've learned so much about myself and the world as a whole, and that has given me so much wisdom to move forward and recognize that the planet does have lessons to teach us if we listen.
Yes, if we listen. Yeah. Miss Kitty's on the line. Kitty, you only have a half a minute. Do you have something to say in a half a minute?
I just want to thank Ashley. I'm writing these books down, The Voice of the Earth by Rozak, and the other things that the Tigrilla Gardenia. I've learned so much just in this hour. Thank you so much, Ashley, and thank you, Annie.
Oh, thank you, Kitty, for calling in. Yeah, I'm going to re-listen to this show and write down all of those things. And by the way, after the show, if you did miss it, you can listen to it on your favorite podcast, or you can go to our page on WMNF. And there, if you scroll down, there's a listen on demand, and all of our shows are on the listen on demand. So if you want to do that. Ashley, I wanted to thank you so much for being on here. This was a beautiful show, and you are a lovely human being to be able to give this to us.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was an absolute joy. Thanks again. And also, you guys, I wanted to let you know that I'm so happy that you did listen in today. And if you would, I want to, well, let me first thank a couple people. Thank Irene for taking the calls and Mr. Bill Grace for every single thing he does to help. And also, Grace Binke does our website updates, and it takes a community to build our community, as we've been talking about the whole time. Tune in next Monday at 11 for Sustainable Living Show, where Tanya Vidovic will be talking about intentional communities. If you enjoy our show and keep our show on the air, please go to WMNF.org, use the donate